Hey everybody, if you watch the news on a regular basis, you've surely heard about the recent sexual assaults on women in Ross, McCandless, and Hopewell townships. The link between two sex assaults in Ross is clear. An armed assailant wearing dark clothing and a ski mask or cap. The crimes happened at apartment complexes, both daytime attacks, both violent. Now police are collaborating with Ross Township to see if there's a link with other recent assaults in McCandless and Hopewell. Our next guest wants to help women protect themselves. Sam Rosenberg is a self-defense expert and the founder of Impact's personal security training. It's a pleasure to have you back on the show, Sam.
Thanks, John.
Nice to meet you. It's my first opportunity to work with you, but you've been a guest on a couple of other occasions, and it's always a pleasure. Let's talk about those incidents and what women in particular, can do in the event that they are violently attacked.
Well, the first thing you want to understand about these types of situations is that bad guys, predators, or even the most desperate predator is very careful in how they select their targets. And understanding a little bit about the psychology of the bad guy, as I call it, the psychology of a predator, is very important for anyone in terms of articulating a defense. So when we look at it, the process of a bad guy's ability to sort of select a target is very specific. The first thing that happens is that they basically observe someone. If they think you might make a good victim, someone who cannot or will not fight back, then they may actually do some sort of an approach. Very often that's the case. And it turns into what we would call an interview. So the process of defense is first and foremost understanding that it is a method that bad guys use, whether they're terrorists or serial rapists or just street criminals. The process of target selection is critical to understand. We have to understand what they're looking for and then how to manage it if we actually get targeted.
What could these women in Ross and Hopewell and McCandless, what could they have done right off the bat that might have helped them that they didn't do?
Well, I don't want to armchair quarterback, what these women could have done, these victims. My heart goes out to them and their families. What I think is very important is for all of us to understand, how to avoid being a victim in the first place. And the most important thing is what I call the 3 Ds. The first thing is to deny opportunity. Having a certain degree of awareness that you could be targeted, that you're not living in denial, and the fact that you don't do things like walk with your cell phone or text in such a way that you have no awareness of your situation. Taking simple steps like locking your doors, very important things like that a lot of people take for granted. Those things deny that bad guy that opportunity to effectively try to victimize you. Then the next step is deterrence, the ability to, if you actually get approached, if you realize that you're in a compromising situation, and our gut will tell us that, not only the function of experience, but the fact that when we receive some sort of stimuli that causes us to have that gut reaction, our instincts will shout at us and tell us this is dangerous. When that happens, having the know-how to be able to deter it or escape. And then the final step is always being ready, willing, and able to defend yourself. In Impacts, our methodology is not about the physical, really. We use the physical training to condition the mind. More importantly than the physical elements of how to defend yourself, how to knock someone out of commission, for example, much more important than that is the ability to make sure that our brain is conditioned so that we don't freeze under pressure, so that we can perceive the threats, we can respond to them efficiently, and we can manage them in such a way that we are not an easy target.
So does it help to be in excellent shape to perform these moves, or can anybody do it?
Ultimately, it's always a good thing to be in good shape. However, you don't have to be in any kind of physical, particular physical condition.
An elite
to do this,
athlete or anything.
Not even remotely. The dynamic of self-defense in the real world is that it is not a competition. So when most people think about self-defense or personal security, they immediately think of martial arts, ultimate fighting championships, and things like that. And then it creates a negative or really
deterrent.
Unrealistic. Well, it's an unrealistic expectation that no one's going to be able to really perform at that level. All of us on a regular basis, however, can defend ourselves because fundamentally it's a mind game. We understand that the bad guy is not looking for a competition. Primarily, he's not looking for someone who can fight back or who could cause him such problems that he gets caught or gets thwarted.
That's why he's chosen that victim.
Exactly.
Because he assumes they're weak and unable to defend themselves.
Exactly. And even the most desperate criminal is very careful in how they select their targets. So the key for the bad guy is to select a target, to pick the right gazelle, so to speak, that will not be able to pose a threat to them. So being able to defend yourself is critical, because that creates the deterrence to that bad guy and creates an atmosphere where he doesn't see any opportunity there to begin with.
And why, let me ask you, Sam, and this is probably self-explanatory and it's right in front of my eyes and I'm missing it, but why is it always guys? It's always guys, right?
It very well almost always is. It's not always guys, but the overwhelming majority of the time, people who are doing bad things and doing violent acts are guys. That's why we call them bad guys. Our vernacular is they're bad guys. It just is what it is. That's sort of a dynamic that I probably don't really want to dive too deep into
It's
today.
a psychological thing, maybe the male side, who knows?
Exactly, and it's just a fact of life.
Plus, guys tend to be bigger in general than women, so they, again, that goes to your prey-victim scenario.
Exactly.
But you're saying if the person is willing to put up enough of a fight, make it difficult enough for the bad guy to realize this is not an ideal opportunity, I need to move on, that usually that will happen.
Very often. The most important thing that people can understand without even any training is understanding that if you simply are aware of your surroundings, if you simply pose a hard target, someone who's difficult to target, someone who looks like they can fight back, who is ready and willing and able to fight back, you don't give off the same signals as a really good victim would to that bad guy. So they look for easier prey.
Well, we're going to talk in just a minute when we return, folks, about how not to be easy prey, how to make it more difficult for the bad guys to approach you, and how to protect yourself potentially in a violent situation.